Hi, my name is Taylor. I am the owner and head trainer at Pup to Perfection, and I'm here to tell you all the things you need to get to prepare for your new puppy. This is an update to a video that I made several years ago, but some of my recommendations and some of my suggestions have changed a little bit. I'm also going through this in real time because we are bringing a puppy home just in a few days here. So I did some shopping today. I gathered some supplies for the new puppy. I figured since I have all this stuff on hand here, I would just go over all the things that I like to have on hand when I bring home a puppy to make my life easier and make my puppy's transition into my family a little bit less stressful. So let's get started with really basic stuff. Obviously, some of the first things you're gonna need for your puppy is a collar of some kind and a leash. This is just a 6-foot leather leash. I prefer a thinner leash. Even with my bigger dogs, I like to have a thinner leash, but a standard 4 to 6 foot leash is gonna be really helpful for you. Collars. I am a big fan for puppies of this style of collar, which is called a martingale collar. So you can see here that it tightens, but only to a certain degree. We are bringing home a whippet puppy, which is a sighthound, and they are notorious for being able to slip out of collars because their neck is like the same width as their head. And these collars were specifically designed for sighthounds. But even for non-sighthound puppies, they're growing so rapidly that they can easily slip out of collars a little bit easier than adult dogs. So a martingale collar is really helpful. However, for safety, I always like to have a martingale collar that also has a buckle on it. As far as the width of a collar goes, I actually prefer a wider collar. So, Finny, where did Finny go? Oh, you're right here. Come here. So this is Finley. You guys have probably seen him in other videos of mine. And this is actually his collar. So this is, I believe, a 1 inch, might be an 1.5 inch wide collar. And you can see it's quite wide on his neck, but I actually prefer that because it distributes the pressure a little bit more evenly. So even for a smaller dog, I like to have a wider collar. So in addition to your standard 6-foot leash, something else that's really helpful is a long line. This is a 30-foot long line. These are super helpful for teaching your puppy to come when called. You still have a hold of them, they're still on a leash, but they can be farther away and you can practice calling them from farther away. This is also really helpful if you're in a field or a park or the woods or somewhere where you want your puppy to have more room to run around and freedom to explore. Long line gives you that while still having control over your puppy. Now, harnesses. Harnesses are something that can be controversial for some people. I don't really know why. I'm a big fan of having a body harness on a puppy while they're learning to have good leash manners. So this is the harness that I prefer. Obviously, this is a big one. This is Chester's harness. This is the Blue 9 balance harness. And as you can see, it has a clip in the front and a clip in the back. So if I have my puppy on a long line, for example, I can have the leash clipped to the back and then the leash is out of my puppy's way. But for teaching them to walk on a loose leash, navigating around distracting places like a group class or the pet store or something like that, the front clip is gonna be really helpful. If your leash is clipped here on your puppy, this is their center of gravity. So when your leash is clipped here, you have way more control over the front half of your dog and way more control over where your puppy goes without having all the strain on their throat. So that's super important for a lot of reasons, but body harness. There is a myth out there that putting your dog in a harness will teach them how to pull. No, all of my dogs walk in harnesses, they all walk really nicely on leash. And the reason for that is what teaches your dog to pull is allowing them to keep moving in the direction they're pulling. So if you have your leash clipped to the front of a well-fitting front clip harness, then if your dog pulls, you're able to redirect them a little bit easier than if the leash is just clipped to a collar or clipped to the back of a harness. So something else that's really basic that you're gonna need to have for your puppy are some bowls. I prefer stainless steel just because it's very easy to clean and sanitize. You can just throw them in the dishwasher. I actually have a few different bowls in my kitchen for water for my dogs because something I learned recently is that dirty water bowls can actually contribute to dental problems. There's a lot of bacteria in the water floating around because the water dish has been sitting there for days and days and days, and especially in my house, multiple dogs are drinking out of it. That can contribute to a lot of excess bacteria and gross stuff in the mouth. So we recently invested in a bunch of water bowls, and I'm kind of a little paranoid about it. So we are changing out the water bowl every single day. So we have 7 water bowls so that every night we can just clean it and put a brand new one down. This is a bowl for food. I don't typically feed my puppies out of bowls. We'll talk about that more in a second, but I do like to have one on hand just in case. So now let's talk about some stuff that's really, really important for your puppy, which is containment. While your puppy is learning what is appropriate to put in their mouth and not appropriate to put in their mouth, how to be potty trained, how to communicate with you effectively, i.e. not biting at you to get your attention, being able to contain your puppy is going to be really, really helpful and important. I'm a big fan of crate training a puppy while they are learning how to be potty trained and learning what's okay to put in their mouth, and especially for me because I have multiple dogs, learning how to be respectful of the other dogs in my household. So I will insert a clip right now of what my crating setup is going to look like for the new puppy.
Okay, so here's our crate setup for the puppy. And yes, this crate is comically large for a Whippet puppy. This is my Golden Retriever's old soft-sided crate, so it's gigantic. But we're just gonna repurpose it, because if I don't have to buy a new crate, I am not going to. So I have the top of the crate unzipped right now just so it's easy to see what's in here. But we have inside the crate, I have a crate pad underneath, and then I have a couple of nice soft cozy blankets. We've got her Snuggle Puppy, another big plushy toy, and then this Benabone that's already been chewed on a little bit for her to have something to chew on if she needs to. In addition to the crate, I like to have a lot of gates set up in my house so that way I can separate my dogs, separate my puppy if I need to. So this can be using baby gates. We have these larger accordion gates in our house because the doorways in our house are too wide for a standard baby gate. Exercise pens like this one are super helpful. My recommendation is get a way taller one than you think you need, because I have bigger dogs in my house. I have a 5-foot tall X pen, and that way I can use it with my little dogs, my big dogs, nobody can get out of it. Those make really great containment as well. And the reason you need to have ways to contain your puppy is you need to be able to supervise them. You need to be able to catch them before they start engaging in bad behaviors. So if you see them sniffing around at the corner of your coffee table, you need to be able to call them away and redirect them to something more appropriate to put in their mouth. If you see them sniffing around on the carpet, you need to be able to go scoop them up and bring them outside to potty so that they don't potty on the carpet. And you can't do that if you can't see your puppy. So I like to have gates set up so that my puppy can always be in the room of the house that I'm in so I can supervise them. And then if I'm not able to supervise them, I like to have a crate or a pen set up somewhere small for them to go hang out while I can't supervise them. And that is super helpful for preventing problem behaviors from ever becoming an issue. So, containment. You need to have ways to contain your puppy. And while we're talking about containment, let's talk about some other stuff that's really important to have. All of the Enrichment Toys. So I'm a big fan of Enrichment Toys for my puppies. This is actually how my puppies get most of their meals. Most people are familiar with these. These are Kongs. These are great for busy work for your puppy. You can throw some peanut butter, plain non-fat yogurt, canned pumpkin, canned dog food, anything that's soft and squishy in here. Pop them in the freezer. That's a big pro tip. Put it in the freezer, and then you can keep a bunch of them stashed in there, and then you have some busy work, something for your puppy to do when you can't be there to occupy them and they're looking for something to do, you can give them something to do. However, the Kongs, they are dishwasher safe, which is great, but I don't know about you guys, but no matter how many times I soak a Kong or clean it out beforehand and then put it in the dishwasher, inevitably I always end up with stuff stuck in the very top that I have to like get a little brush and clean out. So I typically only use these for stuff that I can smear kind of in the bottom of the Kong and not trying to cram this full. I used to use Kongs to give my puppies their meals. I would take their kibble and mix it with, again, plain non-fat yogurt, canned dog food, something, pack it in the Kong, freeze it, and that's how my puppies would get their meal. But inevitably, stuff gets stuck in the top, and especially with a growing active puppy, I want to make sure they're getting all the needed calories that they need in a day. So, I have been switching over almost exclusively
to these for meal times. This is a topple. The brand is West Paw. As you can see, much larger opening, much easier for the puppy to access all the stuff that's in here, and way easier to clean. My dogs typically don't leave anything behind in here, and then I can just throw it in the dishwasher. I don't have to soak it. I don't have to clean it any more than that. It makes my life a lot easier. These do come in 2 sizes. So this is the small one, and this is the large one. You can also squeeze them together like this, and now you have a food dispensing toy, so you can put just kibble in here and pop this little one on top, and then they have to roll the toy around to get the stuff out. So if you have really small dogs, my 2 little ones, Finley and Scarlet, I use this size for them. My bigger dogs, the Whippet puppy, will probably have this size topple. And like I said, I do a lot of meals in the topple for my dogs, especially for puppies. Morning and evening times in my house are typically very busy times, and times when I'm busy and I can't supervise a puppy. So it's really helpful to have their meals prepped in here so that at breakfast time I can put my puppy in their crate with their breakfast. They're contained, they have something to do. My other dogs can eat their breakfast and not be disturbed by puppy. I can get myself ready in the morning. My husband can get himself ready in the morning, and the puppy can't be getting up to mischief. Same thing in the evening when we're trying to cook dinner, coming home from work, all that. It's a busy time of day. I can put the puppy in their crate with their dinner in here. They're contained, they can't get up to mischief, and they have something to do. Now, there are a bunch of other kinds of enrichment toys. This is called a quizzle. A lot of people use this as a bully stick holder. You can jam a bully stick in here, and that way your puppy can't get to the very end of it. So if you're worried about them choking on the end of the bully stick, you can put it in a quizzle, and then they can't do that. I also will sometimes just like cram peanut butter and stuff in here, and again, freeze it and give it to my puppy as busy work. These kinds of things are awesome as well. This is just a treat ball. It unscrews, you can put kibble in here, screw it back together, and then your puppy has to roll the ball around to get the food out. There are a bunch of different kinds of food dispensing toys like this. I typically opt for things like this that are interactive, where my puppy has to continuously manipulate it to get the food out. It'll keep them busier longer than those flat food puzzles where they have to like lift up a door, slide out a thing, twist a whatever to get the food. Once they figure out how to do the food puzzle, it's not gonna be a challenge anymore. So I typically go for stuff like this where they have to continuously manipulate the toy to get the food out. Great way to keep them busy. Another great item for keeping your puppy busy is a Sniffle Mat. So this has a bunch of folds of fabric in it. You can hide kibble or treats or whatever in here and let your puppy go forage around for it. Chester's gonna enjoy checking that out now. Snuffle mats are a great way to help your puppy decompress and calm down. Sniffing has been shown to lower a dog's heart rate. So if you can get them foraging for their food and sniffing around, it'll help them to calm down. So if your puppy is having that like 7 p.m. demon hour where they're going bananas, break out your snuffle mat, get them sniffing, or you can even just take them outside in the grass, scatter some treats in the grass, let them go snuffle around for it. It'll help them to calm down and do something that's productive rather than just like doing crazy zoomies around your house and biting everything and going berserk. What else is really helpful for puppies to decompress and calm down is chewing. So repetitive chewing and licking for dogs stimulates the release of serotonin. So if they're overexcited, bored, tired, and they're making bad choices, they might just need something to chew on. Puppies also teeth, and it's very uncomfortable and it hurts, and chewing can help alleviate that discomfort. So as far as chews go, you can opt for, excuse the golden retriever hair, or German shepherd hair, I don't know which is which anymore. You can opt for stuff like this. This is a Benebone. This is just one style of this type of toy that they make. As you can see, I have had this for like 2 years and it is barely touched. I have found that oftentimes dogs are not super enticed by this. If you have a really, really, really heavy chewer, they might chew on it. The other thing that I get worried about with those types of things is they're not meant to be ingested. And if I'm gonna give my dog something to chew on, I would rather give them something that is safe to be ingested than something that's not meant to be eaten. So, bully sticks, this is a huge one. Bully sticks are awesome, busy work. We already talked about putting them in the quizzle so that they can't choke on the end of it. That's really helpful. And this is a 12-inch long bully stick. And yes, Even for my small dogs, I give them a 12-inch long bully stick. Same thing with these cow cheek slices, which are also really good chew items for a puppy. This is huge, right? So if I give this to my puppy, it's gonna keep them busy for a long time. Often with younger puppies, like 8 to 16 weeks old, they might even chew on this for a while and then give up on it, and you can take it away and give it back to them later. So you'll get a lot of life out of a bigger chew. But the other thing that's really important to remember about edible chews is you want it to be big enough that the puppy can't fit the whole thing in their mouth. Because if they can fit the whole thing in their mouth, then it presents a choking hazard. If it's gigantic like this, there's no way my puppy can choke on this because it's so big. The other thing with chews to keep in mind, never give your puppy something to chew on when they're not going to be supervised. If you're gonna give your puppy an edible chew like this, make sure you're there to watch them just in case for safety. If you're going to give them something in their crate while you go take a shower, or you leave the house, or overnight while you're not there to supervise, go for a Topple or a Kong toy with some peanut butter in it and frozen, because this is not a choking hazard. Whereas something like this, I don't want to leave my dogs with something like this when I'm not there to supervise. Another good chew option for puppies are cod skin chews. These are literally cod skin, fish skin, that's been cut into strips and dehydrated. These typically don't last as long as something like a bully stick or the cow cheek slice, but they are fish, so it smells really interesting. And if your puppy gets bored of the bully sticks or the cow cheek slices, try something like this, because this smells really interesting and they're gonna be really interested in chewing on this. Now, as far as the non-edible chew items go, something that I have found that my dogs do actually like to chew on is this Pet Stages dogwood stick. I have found this to be the most enticing of all the non-edible chews, like the Benebone and the Nylabone. My dogs will actually chew on these. I have a bunch of them around, and Chester especially will chew on them quite regularly, so I picked up a couple more so that nobody feels the need to argue over a dogwood stick. Now, other things in the same kind of vein as all these edible chew items and the non-edible chew items, toys, obviously. I go with the more is more mentality when it comes to dog toys. The more variety you have and the more stuff that's available for your puppy to chew on and play with all of the time, the less likely they're gonna be to start chewing on things that they're not supposed to chew on. So when you're looking for toys for your puppy, go for variety. I like to do a lot of soft, this is a braided fleece toy, this is a rope toy. Again, just be careful and watch your puppy with stuff like this. Make sure they're not actually ingesting it. This is like a fuzzy, flappy ring toy. This is a Snuffle ball, so it's very similar to the Snuffle Mat. It's actually a ball with a bunch of strips of fabric tied around it, but I have found my puppies really like this. The basic idea is the more variety, the better. So invest in a bunch of toys, lots of different kinds of things. These sort of soft, stuffing-y toys, you wanna have that? That's not for you. Also, as far as toys go, I also have a bunch of these types of tug toys. This one is has a raccoon tail on it. Yes, it is a real raccoon tail. I've got this one, which is also a bungee with sheepskin and a little rubbery ball. I have this tug toy that has rabbit fur and a chuck-it ball on the end of it, and again, it's a bungee one. These types of tug toys are mine. So I do not leave them out for my puppy to have access to all the time. They live in my training bag, and I take them out when I'm gonna be working with my puppy. I like to have a few very special, fun training toys that are mine, that my puppy doesn't see all the time. So that way when I do break them out when we're training, they're extra special, extra fun. My puppy's really gonna put an effort to try to access them. So, be a good idea to get a few special fun training toys. Look for things that have like real natural animal fibers on them. So the rabbit fur, the raccoon tail, sheepskin, that kind of stuff. And keep them in a cabinet somewhere else. You can break them out, play with your puppy, and then they go back away. I have a whole video on teaching your dog how to play with you, which sounds really silly because it sounds like something that all puppies should just kind of know how to do, but they don't always. They want to chew on things and they don't bring the toy back and they bite our arms and not the toy and stuff like that. I'm sure I will be posting more videos when I actually have my puppy home, showing how you can introduce tugging to a young puppy. But I would definitely recommend checking out that video. I will link it in the description below. Okay, another fun item that is very helpful to have with your puppy is this guy. This is called a flirt pole, or some people call it a whip toy. This is a smaller one that's meant to be used indoors. It has a sheepskin sort of toy on the end with a squeaker in it. It's basically a giant cat toy, stick with a rope and a toy on the end. I have a whole video on the flirt pole, how to use it, why we use it, why it's so helpful. I'll link that below as well. But especially if you have a very active puppy, an active breed, a herding breed, or a terrier or a sighthound, things that like to chase stuff, a flirt pole is going to be really, really, really helpful for you to give them an appropriate outlet for that kind of behavior. So definitely check out the video on the flirt pole linked in the description below. Another toy I found to be really helpful when I first bring a puppy home is this guy. This is the Snuggle Puppy. If you haven't seen this toy yet, it's really, really unique and can be really helpful for the first few days you have your puppy home. So this is a stuffed little puppy toy. It has a little heart here, and this actually pulses and beats and feels like a puppy heartbeat. So when puppies are with their breeder and with their litter mates, they kind of all sleep in a big pile together, and then they come home to your house and they're the only puppy and they're sleeping by themselves, and that can be really stressful. So having this guy, which is nice and soft and cuddly, it's a little bit bigger than most standard dog toys, so they can really like curl up with it. It has a heartbeat and it has a little warmer in it, so it feels warm. It really can help calm down anxious puppies, especially overnight. Or if you have a long car ride or an airplane trip home with your new puppy, this can be really helpful. When I picked Chester up, my golden retriever, he was in Wisconsin. It was a 20-hour drive out there and then a 20-hour drive back home. And we had a snuggle puppy in his crate with him, and it really, really helped. All right, let's talk treats. So when you bring a puppy home, good idea to already have a lot of high value training treats around. Lately, I have been going for a lot of Vital Essentials treats. They're shelf stable, they're not very messy, and they're a freeze-dried raw little nugget. This one is beef tripe, so it's freeze-dried beef tripe. I like to have a lot of really high value training treats stashed around my house when I bring a puppy home, because the more I can reward good behavior, the more they're gonna do that good behavior. So I will literally keep little bowls or jars of this kind of stuff around the house so that anytime my puppy does something good, I can reward them for it. The Vital Essentials brand, they make a bunch of different kinds of these. They have bigger bags also. But I tend to look for, when I'm looking for training treats for a puppy, I tend to stick with single ingredient, freeze-dried or dehydrated or fresh foods. So I'll even opt for things like low-fat string cheese, boiled chicken, meatballs, hamburger, anything like that, or these kinds of freeze-dried or dehydrated single ingredient treats. Bringing a puppy home, one of the first things that you're gonna be tackling is potty training. And as good of a trainer you are and as on them about pottying outside as you're gonna be, they're gonna have accidents in the house. Nothing is ever perfect. They're gonna make mistakes. It's gonna happen. So make sure you have a pet-specific cleaner for your puppy, for any puppy messes. This one's also a virus disinfectant because my dogs go to trials, they compete. I teach classes at a training center. My dogs come with me there a lot. They're around a lot of dogs. So just to be safe, especially with a new puppy, I like this kind with the virus disinfectant in it. Just make sure your cleaner, whatever cleaner you have, is specific for pet odors and pet stains. And then last but not least, and this one's very important, especially if you don't plan on letting your puppy up on the furniture with you, you need to make sure your puppy has somewhere comfortable to lay. So get yourself a nice big comfy dog bed. I'm bringing home a Whippet puppy. So I did also pick up a couple of cheap fleecy throw blankets that I don't care if my puppy kind of chews on them or maybe they have a potty accident on them. They were cheap. I got them from Marshall's. They were like, I think less than $10 each. But even if you're not bringing home a Whippet puppy, a lot of really small puppies, again, they're used to sleeping in a pile with their litter mates. So they kind of want to like nestle in and be all cozy. So having a nice soft blanket can be really helpful for them to encourage them to go rest, which puppies need a lot of rest. So, and then one more quick item I'm gonna give you to bring home for your puppy. a clicker. I'm a big training. I will link a video below that goes into more detail about how the clicker works and why we use it and why it's so effective. But I really encourage all of my clients. In fact, if you work with me in person, you are gifted one of these Pup to Perfection clickers. I don't give you an option, you're using a clicker. You can get a pack of this type of clicker on Amazon for like less than $10, I think. So get yourself a few clickers, watch the video below on how to clicker train, and start clicker training your puppy. Okay, I think that's everything. I might be forgetting a few things, but these are all the basics to at least get you started for the first couple of weeks that you have your puppy home. I'm sure I'm forgetting a few things. I know I didn't mention like nail clippers or toothpaste or all that, but I'm sure I'm gonna post some videos with the new puppy going over how I introduce them to having their nails done, having their teeth brushed, all that kind of fun stuff. So be on the lookout for that, especially if you're also bringing home a puppy. I have a ton of other resources and free videos on my channel, so make sure you check those out as well. You can also contact me if you have questions or you're not sure what to do about your new puppy. My email will be linked in the video description below. All right, thank you for joining us. Best of luck with your brand new puppies, and we'll see you next time.